Hello, wonderful people. Welcome to Science God. Today I wanted to share with you something very interesting. This is a sermon that I wrote back in 2015 when I first became a believer. I find it interesting because it represents how I was feeling at the time. And looking back at it now, it's really not too bad. It sure is pure of heart, but it was very naive. At this time in my life, I had just survived the war in Afghanistan, only to come back and find myself utterly hopeless, homeless, and lost. And then it was around this time that I found myself fortunate enough, somehow, to get married. And I was just so overwhelmed with gratitude for the positive turn of events in my life that I wrote this series of sermons based on my new understanding of God, Christianity, and the wisdom I learned from Dr. Wayne Dyer. Now, previously at this point, I had been kind of railing against religious fundamentalists as I found myself a rather hardcore scientist. And I thought the Bible was maybe valuable, but definitely not true. And then I found that not to be very helpful in my life. And then one thing led to another, and I became a believer, and I wrote this series of sermons. So here we go. I'm happy to share these with you. I would love to hear what you have to think about it. All right, Sermon 4 of 8. The love of Jesus Christ. A reflection on God's love. Welcome, my friends. Today I want to speak to you about something at the core of our faith, love. More specifically, the love of Jesus Christ, and how that love is central to our relationship with God, ourselves, and to others. The Bible teaches us that God is love, not merely a God who loves, but that He is love in its purest, most complete form. And through Jesus Christ, that love is made manifest to us. It is through the love of Jesus that we are drawn closer to God and to one another. Now let's be honest. The word love has been misused, overused, and even trivialized in today's world. We say that we love everything from our morning coffee to our favorite TV shows. And while there's nothing wrong with enjoying these sorts of things, that kind of love pales in comparison to what we're called to understand through Christ. The love of Jesus isn't just about fleeting emotions or superficial feelings. It's about what we want and what we hope to receive. It is about giving ourselves completely to God, unconditionally. Jesus taught us that the first great commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And that the second greatest commandment is to love your neighbor as you love yourself. But here's the thing. You can't give away what you don't have. And if you don't have the love of Jesus within you, you can't give that to others. If you carry anger or bitterness or contempt in your heart, that's what will spill out into the world. But when you allow Jesus' love to fill your spirit, that is what you have to give. Unconditional, selfless love. Trust in Jesus' love. Life will bring unexpected challenges, trials, and even suffering. But Jesus' love gives us the strength to face whatever comes our way. We must trust in His love and be willing to let go, surrendering to God's will, with the confidence that He loves us and has a plan for us. Each time we choose to respond to hate with love, to injustice with grace, you are spreading the love of Jesus. You're not allowing the world to dictate how you should react. Instead, you're allowing the love of Jesus to transform the world around you. As followers of Christ, we are called to do something radical. Love our enemies. This is not easy, but it is one of the most profound ways we can reflect on God's love. When you encounter someone who opposes you, send them the love of Jesus. And remember that forgiveness is not just for the other person, it's also for you. Forgiveness frees you from the chains of anger and resentment. Remember that Jesus forgives all of us, even though we are sinners. So we must also forgive. Say this to yourself every day. I will fill myself with the love of Jesus, and I will send that love out into the world. How others treat me is their path. How I respond is mine. Make that your personal commitment. The abundant love of God. When we seek abundance in the wrong places, in wealth and possessions and status or recognition, the abundance that truly matters is found in the love of Jesus. It's an abundance that can't be bought or earned. It's a gift. The more you give away love, the more you'll find that you have. It's a beautiful paradox. God has already filled this world with abundance. His love, His mercy, His grace are available to you at every moment. You don't need to chase after them. You simply need to open your heart and receive them. Eliminate negativity, judgment, and imbalance. Because these things clog your soul, and they prevent us from fully living in the love of Jesus. Start today by working on these areas. Avoid negativity, stop judging others, and seek balance in your life. Spirituality, mentally, and emotionally. When you eliminate these distractions, you'll find that you're more in tune with the Holy Spirit and can live in a higher state of love and peace. Forgiveness, as I mentioned earlier, is one of the highest forms of the love of Jesus. When we forgive, we are reflecting God's mercy and grace. Forgiveness is love in action. And it is by living out this love that we can experience the blessings of an abundant life. The power of meekness. Matthew 5:5 tells us that blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Meekness is often misunderstood as weakness. But in God's kingdom, meekness is a powerful virtue. To be meek is to be humble, patient, and gentle. It is to put others before yourself, not out of fear or insecurity, but out of the love and trust in God. The world tells us that we must assert ourselves, demand our rights, and put ourselves first. But Jesus calls us to do it a different way. He calls us to be meek, to trust that God will take care of us, and that our reward is not in this world, but in the kingdom to come. Meekness is the antidote to pride, one of the 7 deadly sins. Because pride says, I know better than God. But meekness says, I trust God's plan. And when we live in meekness, we are living in the love of Jesus. Charity and humility are virtues of Christ. In 1 Corinthians 13:13, we read, Now these 3 remain, faith, hope, and love. but the greatest of these is love. This kind of love, called charity, is self-sacrificial. It is the love that asks nothing in return. Charity is the love of Christ that we are called to extend to everyone, family, friends, strangers, and even enemies. Humility goes hand in hand with charity. To love as Christ loves means to think of yourselves less and of others more. It's not about lowering your values, but raising your heart in the service to God and to others. Humility is recognizing that all good things come from God and that we are stewards of His grace and blessings. The love of Jesus is universal. The love of Jesus holds everything together. It is the force that binds us, that sustains the universe itself. And when you align your thoughts, actions, and words with this divine love, you tap into a power greater than anything you've ever known. It is the love of Jesus and the cooperation it inspires that makes everything work. It's easy to love those who are kind to us, but the true test of Christ's love is when we love those who are hard to love. So I encourage you today, send the love of Jesus to your enemies. When you meet somebody who is not aligned with you, someone difficult or even hostile, send them love and move on. Don't let their negativity disrupt your peace. As spiritual beings, we are called to keep our thoughts on love, on harmony, and on cooperation. When we surrender to the love of Jesus, we are no longer driven by our egos, but by the Spirit of God. We live one day at a time, following the guidance of the Holy Spirit, and in doing so, we become vessels of love, peace, and forgiveness. So in conclusion, surrender to God's love. My friends, I leave you with this. Just surrender. Let go of the need to control and to judge others and to fight. Trust that Jesus' love will never fail you. When you fill yourself with His love, you will become a beacon of light in this world. You'll find that the more love you give, the more love you have. Let us remember that the whole universe is held together by the love of Jesus Christ. The more we align ourselves with that love, the more we will experience the abundance and the joy and the peaceful life that God has intended for us. And with that, I say thank you, and may the love of Jesus be with you always. God bless, and thank you for listening.